This video is about Brock Lesnar returning to the WWE after 8 years and my thoughts on the situation. And I guess the video topic is about the long term. Is this a good thing or not? And it's also about wrestlers' motivations, this topic. You could say what you want about a guy like John Cena or Edge, even though he retired due to injury. Guys like Christian, or even guys like Hulk Hogan. People who have been in this business a long time or have grown up and have a passion and a true heart for the business and supporting a wrestler like that. I mean, there have been wrestlers, and John Cena is a great example because he is a very it's not only what you do in the ring, it's what you do outside of the ring in terms of a personality. He's a great representative of the company in terms of the company brand as a public spokesman. And that's one of the reasons why John Cena is so over in the company in terms of the politics, is that the person, how he carries himself and represents himself in the real world to people. He's a good spokesperson for the wrestling brand. And you could clearly see if you followed a guy like John Cena or Edge, that these were people who, even when they were children, they wanted to be wrestlers. They had a passion for it. Even The Miz, this was something The Miz wanted. This is something he had a passion for. It's in people's like that. It's in their blood, as they say. I mean, this isn't some fad with them. This isn't some gimmick or something where they're just there to make some quick money and then leave. No, this is something they really want. And as a fan of wrestling, I think that's an appealing aspect, that if you want to support someone, don't you want to support someone who really has a passion for, enjoys what they do, and wants to be doing this? You know, like deep down, I mean really deep down as a person, a guy like even The Miz, John Cena, Christian, those are just some examples that they want wrestling. I mean, this is something they want. And it's something they have a true passion for. And it's not a joke. And how does this relate to Brock Lesnar is, it's kind of funny. Some of the best fan favorite wrestlers who were the most over, such as the Ultimate Warrior, I'm going to bring up, such as Goldberg, and now Brock Lesnar, despite how over they are with the fans, in their heart of hearts, you know, in their heart, in their soul, passion of wrestling is not in their blood. You look at the Warrior, a great example. His character and his who he portrayed, he was so over with the fans, and yet as soon as he got his money, gone. Same with Goldberg, another guy who could have had years in the business. As soon as he got his money, I mean, those two guys of Goldberg and Warrior, despite how over they were, you know, that passion of wrestling, it wasn't in their blood. Just my opinion, but it's easy to see. Say what you want about Hulk Hogan, but he's still involved in the industry. Hulk Hogan, wrestling is something that he's been in decade after decade. And like Hogan or not, you have to admit that this guy gets wrestling, that it's a passion of his and it's not a joke to be involved in the business. Whereas the Warrior, he could comment on Hogan all he wants, but what has he done for the business besides get his money and leave? Goldberg got his money and left. Guys like Ric Flair are in the business for decades. Guys like Hogan in the business for decades. Guys like Warrior gone a couple of years. Guys like Goldberg gone a couple of years. And now Brock Lesnar, as I said, the video topic, is on his first WWE run, as a fan, I didn't know his passion for the business. You know, you don't know. It's hard to tell back then. But now that he's returned, I don't think he has a passion for the business. The bottom line is, and the real truth, and I think it was even stated by Edge that even though they didn't say the amount he makes, that, he don't care about the fans. This is all business for him. He's getting $5 million for 1 year work for WWE and about 50 appearances, give or take. So he has a very limited schedule. Going to make $5 million, and that's the real reason he returned. He got his ass handed to him in the last few UFC fights he fought, and clearly he probably realized, hey, getting his ass kicked at UFC, he's not a match for it. As a guy who watches UFC fighting, and you see how the UFC fighters actually do fight, and when I was watching Brock Lesnar's matches on the UFC, style-wise, he didn't, in my opinion, quote-unquote, get it. As a long-term fighter, he would not have been successful. And the only reason he was successful in the beginning, besides getting a push because of his name, was because of his sheer strength and punching power, his size. But you take away that size and punching power, as UFCs can get used to and adjust to, then other than having raw power, he has no real game plan at UFC. In other words, he has no real strategies that these other guys couldn't beat his ass and hand it to him. And while Brock Lesnar is a great wrestler because of in terms of amateur wrestling, just because you're great at something ability-wise does not mean you have a passion for it deep down in your heart, deep down in your soul. As a wrestler, ability-wise, Brock Lesnar is phenomenal. But for the passion, for the heart, for the soul, he's no John Cena. He's no Edge. He's no Christian. He's no Hulk Hogan. He's no Ric Flair. He's not a guy where that wrestling is in his blood. And that's my question of, as a fan, is this someone you really, or my question, or questioning myself, is this a fan I would really want to get behind? A guy who's honestly in it just for the money, just for a quick paycheck, and not because he actually wants to be there. This wrestling return for him, it's about the money. It's nothing more than that. And I think even in the promos, even though wrestling is staged and scripted, there is also truth in those promos, and those are usually the best ones. When Edge was confronting John Cena on Raw, he basically said, Brock Lesnar, he said, this isn't something Brock Lesnar wanted. He's just there for business. And that was basically the promo that he was giving John Cena. And the truth is, that is the real truth. Brock Lesnar said, even on his promos, it's just about business. And he could care less about the fans. And I really do feel that is the truth of this video topic in terms of Brock Lesnar. Sometimes you can't go home again. And I wonder if other wrestlers will be jealous or strategically thinking to the WWE, wait a minute, some of these other wrestlers work 250 to 300 shows or more a year, busting their ass, having a passion for the business, and maybe making a fraction of what Brock Lesnar makes. The guy's going to be here 1 year, work a very limited schedule, and you're giving this guy $5 million. I think other wrestlers, if you get more guys like Brock Lesnar in the WWE, more guys who don't really have a passion for it, are just in it for a big payday, and are going to work a limited schedule, I mean, I think other employees in the long run are going to say, wait a minute, that they wouldn't be cool with that, and I can understand why. Now, you could say you're bringing Brock Lesnar in for the name recognition, the brand name, and the money that's going to bring to the business. And getting the proverbial asses in seats is what they want. That's the old term for it. And the truth is, even though he is going to sell merchandise and recognition and stuff like that, the downside is that deep down, he don't want to be there. It's not about the wrestling, it's about the money. And as a fan, when you think about that, that's just, I guess, something to really think on, of the wrestler's motivations for being there. Also, if you look at the build of Brock Lesnar, this is not the Brock Lesnar of 8 years ago who was jacked, who was muscular, who was big. You look at Skip Sheffield, who now they're calling Ryback. Ryback has a better shape body-wise as one of those big destroyer type builds than Brock Lesnar. And I'll say that flat out. Skip Sheffield, Ryback, when I saw him on SmackDown, this guy is jacked, this guy is built, and he's in better physical, muscular shape than Brock Lesnar is today. And maybe that's because UFC, you can't use steroids. And it wouldn't surprise me if Lesnar back then, 8 years ago, he was jacked on the juice to get that build. But the Brock Lesnar now, not on steroids or any juice, or just because UFC won't put up with that, you can see his build, his muscular nature. It's not the same. This isn't the guy who was big and built like then. Other wrestlers now are in better muscular physical shape. Brock Lesnar, long-term plan for the WWE. I guess they're going to take it, his one-year contract. They'll figure it out next year, how over he is with the fans, if this is something they want to continue with him. And I'm sure before WrestleMania, because that's probably going to be his last match again, I'm sure before the contract ends at WrestleMania that WWE and him will discuss if they want to go another year. My guess is they'll probably take it year to year or a small contract basis with this guy. As mentioned, sometimes you can't go home again. And I think the return of Brock Lesnar this time will have a far different impact than his first run in the company, and not necessarily a better run. So, thanks for watching, and talk to you later.